What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a digital currency without a central bank. In a traditional currency, the bank keeps track of how much money each person has. Each person has an account with the bank and the account contains the money. For example, Alice has $100 and Bob has $200. When Alice wants to send money to Bob, Alice goes to the bank and asks teller to transfer money to Bob. Similarly, the Bitcoin system also keeps track of how much money each person has. The system lives on the internet. Alice would use a client like Bitcoin Core to connect to the world of Bitcoin. Then, Alice uses a client to create a wallet. It is similar to a bank account. The wallet effectively holds your Bitcoin. It has a public key and a private key. Public key is a name that identifies your wallet. You can give public key to others so they know which wallet to send money to. Private key is a secret you keep hidden. You give this secret to Bitcoin system to prove that you own the wallet. It is important that you do not give your private keys to others and do not lose your private key. Bitcoin system does not have a way to recover the private key if it is lost. There have been numerous horror stories where people lost their private keys and have lost thousands of dollars. Here is an example of a transaction. Alice wants to give Bob 10 Bitcoin. Bob first gives Alice his public key. Alice will give Bitcoin system her public key and Bob's public key while using her private key to prove to Bitcoin system that she owns her wallet. Bitcoin system will authenticate Alice and record the transaction. The next question is, where does Alice get her Bitcoin from? One way is to buy it from others who already have it. Alice can use an exchange like Coinbase to buy Bitcoin using US dollar. The other way is by mining. To understand mining, we need to look under the hood at how Bitcoin system works. Bitcoin system is made possible by miners. Miners are the people or companies that own mining nodes. Mining nodes are computers similar to the ones that companies use to host web pages. Each node will store a copy of the ledger. It contains all the Bitcoin transactions from the beginning of time. The transactions are divided into blocks that are linked together in a chain. This data structure is called blockchain. The nodes are connected together via the internet. When a user wants to make a new transaction, the web portal or app will send a request to one of the nodes. The node will propagate any new transactions to the other nodes. The new transactions are grouped together into a new block. Each node wants to put the block to the back of the chain. Before it does that, a node must first win a game. To win a game, a node needs to correctly guess a number that the Bitcoin system thinks is correct. Each node will try out each number one by one. It will ask, is 1 okay? No. Is 2 okay? No. Is 3 okay? No. Once a node finds an acceptable number, the node has the ability to add its block to the chain. The Bitcoin system will reward the winner with some Bitcoins. This act of participating in this game is called Bitcoin mining. Note that a transaction is considered valid when it is included in the blockchain. Miners verify the transactions in the Bitcoin system while they are rewarded for their hard work. Note that the more powerful a computer is, the more guesses it can make per second, so people will try to get the best machine to win the game. When Bitcoin was first introduced, people could use their laptops or personal computers to mine. As Bitcoin became more popular, people started to use graphics cards to mine. Graphics cards were designed for games, where it needs very powerful processing power to render realistic world. One graphics card can have guessing power equivalent to 20 CPUs. Later, people built dedicated machines to mine, such as FPGA, ASICs. Another approach was to form mining pools. People pull their computers together to increase the chance of finding the correct number. When they win, the reward is divided among the miners in the pool. The Bitcoin system was designed with scaling in mind. It decides on the correct answer based on the amount of computing power. If there are more computing power, then the system will make it harder to guess the number. The goal is to ensure that a new block is generated once every 10 minutes. It may be 1 minute for one block and 1 hour for the other block, but it should be 10 minutes on average in the long run. To summarize, here are the main differences between Bitcoin and traditional currency. Bitcoin has no centralized bank or government. It takes about 30 minutes for each transaction to be verified. Recall that a transaction is considered valid when it is part of the blockchain. The party receiving the Bitcoin usually wants to wait for at least 2 blocks to be added after the transaction to be sure the transaction is valid. 1 block takes 10 minutes, 3 blocks takes 30 minutes. There are only a finite supply of Bitcoin that can be mined. Currently, it is projected to run out at year 2040. Next, all transactions are public but anonymous. The ledger that each miner has contains all of the transaction history since the beginning of Bitcoin. However, we don't know who owns which wallet. Thanks for watching. Remember, don't drink and drive.